Hello and happy, beautiful day to you. Today, I want to share two pivotal insights that can be simple but powerful in helping you to start making a radical shift towards having your best year yet. They can help you to start shifting your health, your life, your business, your money, your mindset, your happiness. Literally, these patterns can affect every area of life. And so that's where we're going. Now, the first insight is stepping into your strength more and more. Now, there's a few key insights. So as soon as I say stepping into your strength, a lot of times there can be some simple details that are really important. For example, sometimes when people picture stepping into their strength, they actually picture it as being aggravated, like they have to step into their strength, like it's a struggle feeling that also comes up because it's connected in their mind. But strength doesn't mean stepping into aggravation. Like it's stepping into emotional strength can be a feeling of emotional like confidence, feeling empowered. And feeling empowered is a really strong feeling, an amazing strong feeling. Now, by the way, part of the reason this is also coming up is if you think about our beautiful volunteer on last week's episode, she was in a level 8 of pain, and part of what we did is helped her to step into her feelings of strength again, and she was able to take her pain from a level 8 to almost gone, down to a 1, and she did that using her mind. Now, there were other insights as well, but that was part of what we did, the shift that we helped create, because let's be honest, if what this is a lot of times what people end up doing unintentionally is they can get into a place of fear. And then they try to put positive thinking on top of that, where they say, it's okay, everything, I'm just going to think positively. But inside, there is that feeling of fear that's suppressed. And a lot of times people will live with that suppressed fear, thinking that it doesn't matter as much. But when we really have that feeling of empowerment, it's not that the feeling of fear is suppressed. What we want it to do is we want it gone. And from that place, what happens is more and more of the best of you shows up. Kind of like this, is imagine for a moment what it would look like in your life if every day for the next 4 months, you woke up feeling empowered and confident. Would that change your life? If you're feeling empowered, safe, confident, and capable, would that change your life? Yes or no? So that's one insight, is just the awareness that as we really shift our emotions, that's exactly what happens, is that, sometimes people will just call it manifesting, and it can be, and it is, because we do manifest and attract better things. So there's an energetic amazingness to it. And also what happens is we create real shifts in the subconscious mind. It's like more and more of the best of you shows up. So not only are you attracting, you can attract better and better circumstances and situations, but also you show up in a better way, in a happier way, in a more loving way, in relationships. Imagine as you're showing up in life in relationships from a place of confidence and feeling safe. You can show up, you can laugh, you can enjoy, you can love. It's just those feelings. So that's one thing that I want to invite you to think about, creating that change and really feeling that in your life. So that's one. Now, another thing is the second insight is to notice and see if you can identify invisible emotions that feel benign. And this is what I mean. There are a lot of emotions in our culture that people think they're not that big of a deal, that are. And a simple way to think about this is imagine for a moment somebody who has a pattern of sympathy. And we can have absolute compassion, so no judgment. But think about somebody who has that pattern of sympathy in their life. Now, so often you can have so much compassion because it means likely they've been through a really hard time in one way or another, and they just want safety or nurture or love and connection. But the problem is that patterns perpetuate more and more of the same. So patterns repeat in our lives. And the unfortunate example you hear me use all of the time is, the woman with the abusive father can leave him and find the abusive boyfriend, boss, spouse, etc. And it doesn't feel fair, but that's how patterns work. And of course, on a positive note, we can create positive patterns. And so, going back to the topic of sympathy, if we know patterns repeat, some people may have patterns of feeling criticized or patterns of feeling hurt or rejected or abandoned. But imagine for a moment somebody with a pattern of sympathy. The problem is, what does their life need to look like 10 years from now if they don't change that pattern? Well, sympathy, like something, because the pattern unfortunately continues. So what does their life look like 20 years from now? Probably sympathy. Now, my point is this. It's not just about sympathy. It's about, in our culture, part of the reason the hard manifesting and creating or transforming your lives can feel hard is because there's a lot of emotions in our culture that we consider benign that aren't. They create problems. It's like if somebody saw a fire and didn't know it can burn them, and so they put their hand in the fire. There are patterns that appear to be just fine that aren't. And, some of the examples you hear me use all of the time is even a feeling of pride in hardship. The example that you've probably heard somebody doing this before, where one person says to another, somebody says, they had a bad day or a bad childhood. And then somebody else says, oh, you think your day was bad? Let me tell you about my day. What's happening? They're winning at having the hardest day. So the mind can get this pride in hardship, which appears benign, and yet it attracts more and more hardship and more problems. And so some of the other ones we've talked about recently, where people will link up a gift. They go, oh, that problem was a blessing in disguise. And they link up like, that problem, it turned out to be such a gift. And they link up the problem or negativity with gift. And so from this, or by the way, let me give you a couple other ones, because, when I have worked with people with all different levels of success, from people who are struggling and on disability, trying to figure out a way off, to people who are running and leading multi-$100 billion companies. And everywhere in between, and entrepreneurs. And, if you ask me if I have seen these patterns affect people's life or health or business or money or success or relationships, literally every area. And so that's the insight that I want to invite you to look at, is just notice. So the first pivotal insight was step into your strength more on purpose. Start training your emotions for that. So that was the first insight. The second is paying attention to and seeing if you can find any invisible patterns that feel benign, but that aren't serving you. And by the way, if you ask me if I have worked with people who, let's say with relationships, where they were speaking poorly about others, and it's an invisible pattern, but it ended up creating problems in their own relationship, not because anybody told them, but because the energy of it was affecting their health or their life or their happiness or their business. I've literally seen people in business who were speaking poorly about others, where it affected their business. Or I have worked with people before who left a bunch of negative reviews online, even under different fictitious names, where they were upset at a company. So then they leave a fictitious, a bad review, and then it's affecting their health or their life or their own money. They're struggling to get by, and I check into their energy, and I'm like, okay, well, there's all these you left some negative reviews, and they weren't fair. So my point is these things that seem benign, that end up happening, anywhere from a pattern of sympathy to a pride in hardship to speaking poorly about others to, saying, oh, this is a gift. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people with even, end up with cancer back or something like that. They go, oh, well, the first time ended up being such a gift because of, remember, you won't want to link up anything to the gift that you don't want to repeat. That's why I call my process, my method, the gift method, because it's not about the illness. It's about a method to help find the gift. And my point is that what you link up in your mind matters. Now, by the way, this might seem like little details, but when we stop and think about it for a moment, our minds are more complex than a computer. And even when we're working on a computer, we need to have the details right. Even to play an instrument, a guitar, you've got to have the details right. And so, or accounting, or any of these things, the details matter. And so I want to invite you in your life to look at these. So imagine in your life, moving forward into this next year, if you were able to step into your strength more and more and more, and that's what you were doing, is stepping into your strength, feeling that, not from an aggravated place, but from an empowered confidence, feeling good, feeling capable, empowered feeling and vibe, and so you're feeling that. And then also, if you were able to clean up something that maybe unknowingly was holding your life down in some way. Just looking at maybe some of these that I mentioned, or looking at some type of pattern and seeing, is there one of these patterns that seems benign, but is really impacting you? In fact, if you recall on a recent episode 320, with our beautiful volunteer Tracy, there was this feeling of feeling unloved in her life. And she's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful volunteer, beautiful being. And there was a part of her with subconscious patterns that were pushing away love. And so that's the insight that I want to invite you to look at, is that if you can step into your strength and also get rid of something that's holding you back, something that's holding you down or affecting you, because all of the time I'll see people who are trying and trying and trying to manifest, to create, to lift their life to the next level, and yet simultaneously they're doing something that is messing them up, sabotaging it. You know, the example that I used in Tracy's, with Tracy, was the feeling of like chasing love, or chasing what it is that we want, like a soccer ball, if you will, like chasing a soccer ball, and every time you get close to it, you inadvertently kick it away, and then you try to get closer to it and you kick it away, and you're trying to get closer to it, and it's like trying to pick up a ball that you keep inadvertently kicking away. And a lot of times people are doing that energetically with some type of pattern that they don't realize is impacting them. And so those are the two insights. How amazing would it be to have this year your best year ever? So just food for thought on literally creating that, stepping into that. And by the way, I have literally seen people go from hardship and illness and problems and broke and unloved and stuck and all of the things, to literally shifting around every area of their life, where they're saying, oh my gosh, they're in a relationship and they're crazy in love, in a sweet, wonderful, loving way. They're so in love. Who would have thought that they would have the relationship, the happiness, the joy, the success, the health, like all of it. And so having that excitement for life and looking forward to that is just powerful. And by the way, what's beautiful is that our last volunteer last week, literally, that was the exact feeling with Lisa, on episode 321, was that feeling of stepping into her next, like she messaged in after her session last week and said, I haven't felt this excited about life for a really long time. Just a reason to wake up in the morning, a feeling of excitement. So that was her case, and releasing her pain and creating that radical shift. So, and of course, it takes follow through. It does take follow through. Absolutely. But it's worth it. You're worth it. Life is worth it. And the more you literally follow through and fall in love with life and things change, the easier it is, of course, to fall in love with life. I've been there in my own situation. I've been through the hard times and shifting it around. So wherever you are, that is my hope for you, of course, that you're able to take your life, your happiness, your health, your relationships, your love, connection, all of it to the next level. So those are the insights that I want to share today. And as always, I want to ask you, please do take just a quick moment to hit the share button on this episode. Share it with somebody you love, somebody you care about, somebody you don't even know, because the more that every single person in our world feels happy and healthy and loved and loving, truly the better this world is for all of us. And so please do take just a quick moment to hit the share button. And please do make a point to have an incredible rest of your day. I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. We'll see you there.